10.6, last lesson, best lesson, okay? Last one of the week. Then tomorrow we're going to practice this again because today it's not necessarily hard. There's just a lot of pieces to it. And then tomorrow we're going to practice 10.6. Thursday we'll do a study guide. Friday, test day is the best day, right? It might be. No, it's not Sokotoa. Okay, so let's look at page 11. The first page 11. Okay, we have a couple of new terms today. You've probably seen these terms, but you haven't seen them in this form, okay? So they're called secant and tangent lines. You've heard of tangent because of TOA. You've heard of secant because of secant. I don't know. We haven't talked about secant, have we? Okay, you'll learn about that next year. But they're lines, okay? They're secant and tangent lines. And they're two separate lines that you have to know the difference between. But I have a good way to help you, okay? So, right here, one of these is secant, and one of these is tangent. Which one do you think is which?
Secant is outside one. Then the measure of each angle.
Tangent is xy? What makes you think that?
It only hits at one point.
Okay.
If we can go on a tangent.
And you told me that secant when he said,
Oh, I didn't put any thought into pointing at anything. So if that happened, it was a coincidence. Okay, but, however, he's right. Tangent is the outside line. So this right here, that's a tangent line. And then the one that goes through the middle, that's a secant line. Here's how I can help you remember these. You ready? Secant is a line that goes all the way through the circle. So it seeps through. Secant seeps through. Okay?
Okay.
Tangent, when you get a tan, when you're laying out or you're like outside and you get a tan, do you see that on the inside or the outside?
Outside.
So tangent is on the outside because tan is on the outside. Or James had a really good one. He said when you go on a tangent, you're like about to burst, right? You're on the outside.
What about the other circle? There's not a tangent.
It's like you're on topic just at one point, then you're off topic.
Yeah. Huh?
Is there a tangent?
Those are two secants. Okay? So, this is a tangent, this is a secant. Over here, do those stay on the outside? So it's not tangent, they both seep through. So these are two secant lines. Okay? In either scenario, there's certain things you have to do to solve for the missing pieces. So in this one right here, to find the measure of angle 1, you have to follow this formula. What this formula says is you take both of the arcs on the outsides. Now, aren't these vertical angles?
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be the same as this, right? Mm-hmm. So either one, you both do the same thing. You have to take those arcs, arc PR and arc QS, add them together and divide by 2. That's what happens. This is the same scenario. You want to find the inside angle. So take the two arcs that are on the outsides right here, and you add them together. So right here we'll have 30 plus 55, which gives us, divide that by 2. So your angle measure is 42.5. Okay, and example number 2. Now, hold on real quick. Let me back up because look at this. Do you see how these have arrows? That's what makes it a line. So these are two secant lines. These are not lines because they don't go on forever. These are just chords or segments. They're chords though. Okay, line, chord. However, it works the same way because all they're doing is making it not a line but a chord. So same thing, okay? In example 2, what kind of line is this one right here? It's a tangent line. What is this right here? It's not a diameter because it doesn't go straight through the middle. It's just a chord. Okay? When you're trying to find this angle, remember in 10.4 if you have a circle and you want to find this arc and you have this angle, you just double it? Same thing. If you want this, if this is what you have and you want to get this angle, you have to divide it by 2. So you take 168 and divide it by 2. What? Thanks. Okay. Will you try number 1? You do 1. You should get 46 degrees. Yes?
Yes.
We did 40. I don't necessarily write it like they do. I don't do the 1/2. I just do 40 plus 52 divided by 2. That's how I write it. Okay, number 2. Same scenario, different setup. What are we solving for? GH, which is right here. So let's call it X. You don't double it. You have to, so to find this inside angle, I have to add this plus this and divide it by 2 to get that, right? So same thing as over here, but one of these is going to be different. It's not going to be 2 numbers, it's going to be an X. So to find your inside angle, you have to take this arc, which is 28, plus this arc, which we're calling, divide by 2 and set it equal to 45. Yes. So now this is just an algebra 1 equation. How do I get rid of the 2? Multiply to get 90. Subtract 28. You should get x equals. Thank you. All right, you try 3 and 4. Answers are up here when you're ready to check. Where's your phone at today?
No, it's just off.
Finish your homework for what? How are we on 3? 3, okay? This one? You just double it, right? Because you have this angle of 74, and to get RT, you would just double it. What if it asked for major arc RT, and you had this as 148? What would you do? If this is 148 and they wanted you to find this arc, subtract it from 360. Okay? Okay, number 4. Did we get 70? No. This does take an extra step. There's actually 2 ways you can do this. The way I see it is if I add 90 and 130 and divide by 2, it gives me this one, right? So 90 plus 130 divided by 2 equals 110 degrees. So this is 110. But this makes a straight line. So if that's 110 and it has to equal 180, angle 5 is just 70 degrees. That's the way I see it. Someone in first period, I'm just used to Isabel thinking about everything. Not Isabel. Jenna House. She had a really, really good idea. She said, if those 2 arcs we know, and the other 2 arcs are the ones that are left, can't you just do 360 minus both of those, and it gives you the sum of these 2, right? And then divide it by 2. Gives you the same thing. If you don't see it that way, it's okay. But basically what she was saying is, if you take 130 and 90 and subtract it from 360, what's going to be left is this plus this. So divide it by 2 and you'll get 5. Okay? All right, next page. Let's look at this circle right here. What kind of lines do you see going through this circle? Secants. They're technically raised, yes, but it's 2 secant lines. What about this one?
tangent and the secant.
One tan, one secant. What about this one? Two tangents. Good. Those are the kind of lines that you see. Okay? Now, all of these three different examples have different lines, but in the end, they're all going to be solved the exact same way. So, let's look at example number 1. You're wanting to find the measure of angle MPN. M to P to N. So that's this baby angle right here. Literally baby angle, right? Here's the formula. So you have two lines going through. You want to take the arcs in between them. So this arc is the one I'm going to call big arc. That's big arc. Big. And then I call this arc baby, because you go from big arc to baby arc. What you do is you take big arc, big, minus the baby arc, and divide by 2. And that gives you the inside angle. So in this case, we'd have to do 34 minus what? 18, which is? Divide by 2. So the measure of the angle is 8 degrees. Told you it was going to be small. In any scenario, that's what you do. Up here, you would take big minus baby divided by 2 to get angle P. Big minus baby divided by 2 to get this. Big minus baby divided by 2 to get this. Any scenario, you do the same thing. So look at number 1. Try to set it up. Big minus baby divided by 2 gives you angle 1. What's big? What's baby? What did you get? 80 minus 40 is 40, divided by 2 is 20. Try 2. Okay, so 1 and 2 are normal. 3 is a little bit different. I need big arc. Do you know what big arc is in number 3?
Yes.
220. Well, there's only 2 arcs in this whole circle, right? It only split into 2 different arcs. So if that's 220, this has to be 140. Yep. How did I get 140? What did we subtract 220 from? 360. Which is what? 40? Is that what y'all said? Okay. Number 4, same setup, but different scenario. I'm not solving for the angle this time. I'm solving for the arc of JP. So if you're solving for an arc and you're going to have to set up an equation, let's just call it X. So how would I get to angle 20?
70 plus X. Minus.
Minus.
So yeah, minus.
Minus X divided by 2 equals 20. Yep. How do I get rid of the 20 or the 2? So this becomes 70 minus X equals 40. What do I do now? Subtract 70. But we're not finished. It's not negative. You're not going to have a negative angle until you get to algebra 2 at trigger pre-cal. Uh-oh. So X is equal to 30. So that's the measure of angle J Proctor equals. Just a joke. Okay, let's look at 5. Please don't hate me.
Kind of hate you. A little bit. X plus y. Dang, x minus y divided by 2 equals 50.
You don't know how to solve an equation with 2 variables in it.
Show don't.
Show don't.
Don't you
Oh, Lord.
multiply, that's 100, and the other one's 260. Well, I tried.
You don't try.
That's wrong.
Okay, how many degrees are in the circle?
360.
Can we agree as a class that major arc ln, let's call minor arc ln, let's call that x.
Okay.
There's only 360 degrees and how many arcs?
2.
2. So if we call this x, major arc has to be
2x.
360 minus x. Y'all following me? Minor arc has to be x. And if there's only 2 arcs, whatever's not in the minor arc has to be in the major arc. So 360 minus x gives you this. Now let's set up our equation. What's the big arc?
360 minus x.
What's the baby arc?
Minus x. Yeah.
Divided by
2.
equals,
I do minus 2x.
yeah. So go ahead and simplify. 360 minus 2x equals 100. Because 2 times 50 is 100. Subtract 360, so we get negative 2x equals negative 260. Divide, you get x is equal to 130. Is that what we were trying to find?
No, find ln.
Which is x, right? Okay, so the measure of measure of ln is 130. Now, what if they told us to find the major arc of ln?
Then just, yeah.
Good. Okay, good. So, at the beginning, someone said, just double 50 and that'll be our minor arc. Well, was that the answer?
No.
Okay. All right, try 6. Try 6. Don't overthink. You'll see it. It's all there except for one piece, right? So how do we find my baby arc?
Subtract all of those and subtract these.
Subtract everything from 360. What's that leave you with?
15.
The answer is 15?
The answer's 15. But it leaves you with 70.
This is 70? Thank you. 100 minus 70 divided by 2, which that's 30 divided by 2, which is 15 degrees. Yeah?
Yes.
What's wrong?
Wouldn't you have a 2x on the...
What? Which one are you on? 6?
Yeah, 6.
Okay, so 360 minus that gives you 70. 100 minus 70 divided by 2 gives you this angle. 100 minus 70 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. Okay, let's do. You see how they're in like columns? Let's do these 2 columns. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 11.